Well, hey there, I'm Anne and I'm the default cook in my house as well as several corners of the internet. Today, we are going to steam clean our oven. This actually has a self-cleaning cycle on it that I have not run in years because it gave me the heebie-jeebies, honestly. It was so hot. It did look a lot cleaner afterwards, but it took all day to get up to that crazy high temperature. The kitchen was very warm and not comfortable doing that. So we are going to steam clean instead. As you can see, I'll zoom in a little bit for you, but this is a rather dirty oven. It has been too long since I cleaned it. It's not been as long as since the last time I ran the self-clean cycle. I have like manually cleaned it, but it's been a minute since I did that too. So the first thing we're going to do is take out our oven racks and give this a wipe down to get any big chunks of stuff out of there. I'm going to set this down. Sorry for the noise. And we're going to wipe this out. Before we get too far in, I actually want to talk about what we're going to need so that you don't get to the point that you need stuff and you don't have it. The biggest thing that you need that I ran out and got was distilled water. And the reason we want to use distilled water is that we don't end up with calcium and magnesium deposits, which is hard water scale, all over our oven. We're not cleaning it to make more of a mess. So we are going to need distilled water, an oven-safe container to put it in, and it needs to be a pretty good size container because we don't want it to be particularly full. Since it's going to boil in the oven, we don't want it to boil over. So I've got my little handy dandy measuring cup. And then we're also going to be prepared with some baking soda that we can make a paste out of to get some of the tougher spots, probably particularly on this window, after the steam clean. And a sponge, something to scrub with, some cleaning towels. Nothing crazy. The thing that you're most likely to not have in your house already is distilled water. I grabbed it at CVS. Most grocery stores carry it as well. And here, let's give you a quick zoom in to see my dirty oven. Yeah, she has seen some better days. So we're just gonna wipe out any big chunks. I might wet this a little bit to get those big pieces. There we go. Sorry about the frame change right there. This does lift up a little bit. It's okay to do that. We just don't want to force it. It's not going to go all the way up, but it does lift a little bit so that we can get under those feet. Yours may or may not lift up. If it doesn't, don't force it. But most of them lift up a little bit just so that we can get under these little feet there. I should also mention this is for an oven that does not have a steam clean cycle on it. This bad boy is original to the house from the 90s because I'm in a part of the country where 90s is an older home. I'll show you that. The grime. So we're just getting those big chunks out of the way. And this is just a cotton rag I'm using. This actually used to be a tank top, but it got a hole in it, so now it's a cleaning rag. Alrighty, so now we are going to put one of our racks back in on the lowest setting. And then we're going to pour 2 cups of our distilled water into a large baking tray. This isn't not 8.5 by 9 by 13, something like that. The exact size doesn't matter. It just needs to be big enough that this isn't going to, whoop, I'm sorry, that's probably in your way. It just needs to be big enough that the water is not at a high level in this. We need it under halfway because it's going to come to a rolling boil in the oven. So I'm going to put this distilled water in here. Close her up. Actually, let me show you how terrible the starting is on this first, and then we'll close her up. And then we are going to turn it on to 450. And for reference, I can show you that this is a top and bottom oven. The bottom oven did not get used hardly at all by the previous owners or us. So we have this oven we're cleaning. Oh my goodness gracious. And then, oh my, down here, we have what it used to look like. So this is the second oven that basically never gets used. Christmas, Thanksgiving, maybe. So we're gonna turn it on to 450. Once it heats up, we're gonna let it run for 15 to 20 minutes. For mine, that's when that light goes off, is when it has come to the set temperature. I forget if I mentioned enough about the steam clean cycle. So this is an older oven. It does not have a steam clean cycle. Some newer ovens have a steam clean cycle on them themselves that's programmed in because the industry is aware that the self-clean can be problematic. For more information on that, Renee is a really good person to talk to or listen to, I suppose. She is an appliance repair specialist and can talk a lot about why the self-clean option is not great. For me, it was just like, ooh, I felt uncomfy doing that. I didn't like it. But if you have a newer model with a steam clean setting, then go ahead and look at your manual. This might not be the procedure that you follow because you may have a fancier option. But we're doing the bare, basic, simple version here. So I'm not gonna like stand here and make you watch my oven turn off or heat up to where the light turns off. So I will be back in a little bit once this has turned off and we've been in about 15 to 20 minutes. Actually, why don't I just tell you what happens after that? After that, we're going to let the oven cool down for about an hour. So we'll actually be gone probably about an hour and a half. By the time this heats up, preheats to 450, cooks for 15 to 20 minutes and boils that steam, and then leaving the door closed, we're gonna let that steam kind of work its magic while this closes, because we need it to be cool enough for us to work with and stick our hands on. That's not gonna happen right away. So we're just gonna leave it closed for about an hour after we turn off the oven. So, see you in a bit. Alrighty, we are back. I have the light on in here, so you'll be able to see a bit. The outside is like lightly warm to the touch, but not hot. In here, I wouldn't recommend touching it directly with your hands like I just did, but it's not too bad. I'm gonna grab this, which is dry. That's all right. If there is any water left in this, make sure you don't spill it. And that definitely looks cleaner than it did before. Certainly more wants to come off. So now we're gonna make our baking soda paste. And again, it's been a hot minute since I had cleaned my stove. You may not have anywhere near that level of grime. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. We're gonna make a little paste. That might have been too much water, so I may need Yep, that was definitely too much water. So I'm gonna need some more baking soda. Which is fine. I have plenty of baking soda. I had put it in a container like this to try and keep it from getting stale so quickly for baking, but that container is definitely old and is just now for cleaning. And we're gonna need more. So I'm probably gonna be making more paste than I need here. But we want it to be thick, kind of more solid than liquid. We want it to be a paste, not a liquid. Kind of like a glue. There we go. I think I finally added enough. She's clumpy, a little lumpy, perfect. So I'm gonna spread this on. And get to scrubbing. And again, if it's too hot, just give it a few more minutes. And if you're real grimy, like this is quite grimy, you can always run this again, okay? We can keep using steam to clean it. It's not gonna hurt anything, it's just water. You also can use vinegar, but we don't wanna use vinegar at the same time as baking soda because they counteract each other. But vinegar is, obviously, it's, you know, in recipes, it is food. So it is very, very food safe and something that can be used to clean anything basically in our kitchens. There are some counter surfaces that don't do well with acids, but yeah, this looks way better than it did. It's not perfect, and it's not going to be. That's okay. People live here, so I'm not trying to make this look like no one has ever cooked in this oven before. We just want it not to look absolutely terrible and to be clean enough that we're not worried about, you know, oven buildup ending up in our food. So I'm just gonna clean here for a little bit, and I'm going to put this on fast time and not talk so that you don't have to, you know, watch me do this whole baking soda, but this is really coming off quite nicely. So I feel like the steam did a pretty good job loosening things up so that a little elbow grease can get the rest. And if I'm not happy with how it looks at the end, if I feel like, oh, that could be better, I can just do it again. We don't want to put our weight on this door, so make sure you're not pressing too hard. We do want to use some elbow grease. We don't want to use our body weight. Now that it's been open for a minute, this is cooled down enough to where I can touch basically everything. The window is the part that bothers me the most when it's dirty because I like to be able to look in and see my food. And this looks so much better. Maybe I will use all that paste. Also, keep in mind that even if you do use the self-clean, it's not going to be perfect. Mine wasn't the time that I did do that. Like I can see here, there's some speckling of like burnt on stuff that's between the two panes of glass. Nothing's going to get that off. Do be careful that we don't end up with any baking soda or any solids here in the hinge areas. I'm also going to be super gentle here with the gasket. Yeah, this looks so much better. There's definitely still some buildup. Here, why don't you come over here? I'll show you. Look how much better that window looks. And you can see there's still some grime. There's still some grime here. But this, like, this is smooth. This is almost like squeaky clean right there. And there was definitely some stuff, some schmutz there before. And here, I haven't cleaned up this area yet, but you can see just getting it wet makes a big difference in terms of what you can see. Again, we've got some, but this is a lot less than there was. And right around it, like this is smooth. So I feel like most of this is going to come up with our baking soda paste now that it's been loosened. And if I feel like I'm using too much elbow grease, I'll just run it again. It's steam. It's not going to hurt anything. As far as our oven's concerned, it's the same as like baking cookies. I probably will run this one more time because the sides are still pretty grimy. Again, it had been more than a minute since I'd cleaned this properly. That said, it doesn't need to be perfect. And if one cycle and just a wipe down and a few minutes of scrubbing is what you have the capacity for and the time for, do that. A little, it's still going to be better than it was, cleaner than it was. This is night and day compared to what it was. It's just not as good as I would like it. Don't let perfect be the goal because perfection does not exist and we're never going to get this back to the way it looked in the 90s, okay? It's fine. It just needs to be clean enough that we feel good making our family dinners in it. It doesn't need to look like it belongs in a magazine, okay? I'm talking to me too. Don't look at that light if you're cleaning your oven light. It's like looking at the sun, really not good for your eyes. And not that I use it anymore, but we're gonna make sure we're not getting baking soda in our temperature probe thing either. 'Cause this had a meat thermometer when it was first put in. It was not still there when we moved in. So you've seen a lot of the progress here. I don't want to bore you to tears, so I'm going to go ahead and stop recording for now, and then we'll come back and show you once I've done the baking soda kind of everywhere. And I think I will probably run this again, so I'm not gonna worry about getting it perfect. And honestly, it doesn't need to be perfect. I don't need to run it again. I'm hosting Thanksgiving, so I would like it to be a little extra clean in advance of that, but it's so much cleaner than it was. You can see into the oven. I'm very excited about that. So now I've gotten the bulk of the baking soda out. I've wiped down everything that I can see visually. And now I'm gonna go in with some vinegar. Like we talked about, vinegar and baking soda cancel each other out. So I'm not using this as a cleaner so much as something to help get rid of the excess baking soda. as well as any hard water, because I was having to rinse that rag with regular water. And vinegar is very good at getting rid of hard water when it's fresh. Like when it, you know, if you have hard water deposits, vinegar can help, but it's not going to make it perfect. But a little bit of vinegar here, in this case, again, like the baking soda, food safe. I'm not worried if I end up with a little bit. But it'll help negate any hard water, that minerals that were in my rinse water there, from scaling up in my oven, because I can wipe them away. They should come away with the vinegar. And if you're like, how do you know that? One, I live in the Vegas area, and Vegas has some of the hardest water in the nation. Almost 300, right around 300 parts per million, which is a lot. It's like triple a lot of places. And also, I used to work in water treatment back before I had kids. So I have forgotten more about hard water than most people will ever need to know in their lives. And that's why it is so important to do this cleaning with the distilled water. See, every time it was air drying before, I was getting like a little white residue lines there. And now I'm not seeing that. And that's because we just use the vinegar to remove it. So she looks so much better. I'm gonna show you, and I'm also gonna turn away that baking soda with my rag. I'm gonna sweep my floors after this, I promise. And we don't want to scrub this seal, our gasket there, that makes sure the oven stays all the way closed. So we do not want to damage that. All right, let me show you. How much better she looks. Oh my gosh. See, so there's a little here, and I could scrub harder. I could do another round. I probably won't bother right now. I'll probably just try and make this more of like a quarterly or semi-annual, or let's be honest, annual thing. And then it'll get a little better each time. So you can see there is still quite a bit of grime up there because my oven was very dirty. But down here, all gone, all gone. So again, that would take more layers. But man, look at that. Look at that. Look at that window. That is beautiful. You can see, woo! You can see me in that. You can see my hand through there. Like, that's new. Love that. So far, far improved compared to what we were looking at before. Let me show you, see if you can see in the window. Look at that. Yeah. Right there, we can see the rack spaces. So that's how you steam clean your oven. And it looks so much better after one cycle and some elbow grease with our baking soda paste. And if I kept going, it would look better. I probably will get the outside. That's gross. But it looks so much better than it did. And it'll look better each time I do it, because now I'll try and keep it on a routine maintenance basis and do this, you know, quarterly or semi-annually or more likely annually. And it was so easy. It didn't take all day. And really, aside from the elbow grease portion, it wasn't a lot of hands-on time. And honestly, I might run the steam, next time I do this, I will probably run the steam cycle multiple times before getting in the elbow grease. But I do think now that we've cleared away some of that, it'll get to deeper layers than it would have if we hadn't done that. But if you're looking for a little less elbow grease, just run the steam cycle more times. The reason we don't want to do a ton of water all at once to make that happen and do a longer cycle is that we want to make sure that we are not putting in too much water and having it boil over, because we don't want that to contact the hot heating element. Okay. But yeah, that's all, folks. Remember, she doesn't have to look perfect. She is made to make meals and cook your family's food, not to look like it's out of a magazine. The fact that you care about this at all means that you are doing such an amazing job and doing amazing taking care of your family. And I'm really proud of you. You're doing great. And I'll catch you again next time. I told you I was going to sweep my floors. Don't look so surprised. I can follow through sometimes.